Humor is truth. Like the funniest things are the truest of things. Most of the time, comedians are just like blatantly just saying the truth.
Hopefully, we're getting into a situation where we can have humor, right, as part of our marketing.
So if you're a brand and you do something crazy, funny, and you're experiencing blowback, first identify if the people giving you the blowback are your ICP. We just got canceled 3 months ago, and like they were really wary about it. What's the famous Christmas movie with the leg lamp? You ever seen that? The lampshade with the leg?
No? I thought that was Toy Story, man.
No, okay, all right. It's an iconic Christmas movie. This tool that matches brands with part-time Gen Z creators, like already a killer, like knows how to be in front of a camera. You kind of just have to tell them what to record.
So part of our marketing goal is to take that energy that we have as a product builders, the speed with which we are innovating, and have that kind of be apparent in our marketing. So I think like any company out there can kind of claim that they build a lot of stuff or they have a lot of features, right? But I don't think anybody can kind of come close to how fast we're doing it, right? So one of the objectives that I sort of asked our marketing team to pursue is like, hey, why don't you make that energy apparent in our social? And their answer was, all right, let's go in and let's do some more product stuff or more sort of problem solution stuff. So we've tried that for a little while, and I'm looking at our stuff and I'm like, okay, so I don't still get the vibe that this is the kind of company that just doesn't sleep because it cares so much about it, right? So how do you convey that? And one of the ideas that came in, it was that, hey, Alexis can do this series where I wake up in the morning and my product team gave me like 5 features to announce. How was your day?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're doing 1 feature a month. Good for you.
Yeah.
This is like a Tuesday for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like for that kind of content, it would be nice to have like a like somebody who can like record that aspect of being a social media manager for
fast-paced
and like in any case. So cancel culture, right? All right, knock knock.
Wait, I don't think I heard what's the concept here.
Well, the concept is cancel culture is dead. Like how have we become like much more free to, in a good or bad way, of just posting whatever? Is anybody even getting held accountable for anything that they post online anymore?
So that client of yours that you mentioned that is a little bit more legacy, do you worry at all about like them getting canceled?
Yeah, I mean, that would suck. When we first started, though, luckily, they were like, we just got canceled 3 months ago. And like they were really wary about it. They did something at an event that was a little too crude and people saw it offensive. I forget what it was, but it was something. What's the famous Christmas movie with the leg lamp? You ever seen that? Like
what?
The lampshade with the leg.
I thought that was Toy Story, man.
No, okay, all right. It's an iconic Christmas movie. I want to say it's literally just called A Christmas Story, but they just have this super weird leg lamp in their living room, and it's like this iconic scene. I think they emulated that, but they somehow like sexualized it a little bit, and it was at an industry conference, and it backfired.
Sexualize the lamp.
So they were like very wary.
Somebody is getting paid big bucks for these ideas.
And I was like, okay, well, we're going to ensure we don't do that.
But when you say cancel, what does that mean? They lost the contract?
So I guess they defined it as canceled. And what it was industry experts were complaining about how they showed up at this conference.
I think it's just for them, for that generation, which is probably, when I mean that, it's probably all I really mean by that is generation that lived through like 2000s.
Yeah.
They have that PTSD from getting canceled like in a real way.
Like your life's over.
Your life is over, your company's dead, like you lose your job, you have to quit, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what I'm trying to say is that perhaps that is over.
Yeah.
Today you have like anybody, I feel like, take politics, just lightly mentioning politics here. I don't think anybody is accountable for anything. I feel like any politician comes up and talks about absolutely anything today, factually incorrect or not.
Yeah, and they switch their
Tomorrow
opinions.
he just says, listen, I just repeated what that other guy was saying. That doesn't make it any less wrong, but he's not quitting. You know what I mean? Like, so today I feel like anybody just started to say anything. So yeah, and that's kind of like the cancel culture is element. Like, is it there? Is it not there? And memes are kind of like you're living in that space where they're like, is this pushing envelope? Is it not pushing envelope?
Yeah.
You know, but if the cancel culture is sort of dead, then do we worry about Because I feel like a lot of that cancel stuff was not about the fact that necessarily you went over what was allowed or not, but it's some complainers basically making a big deal out of something that isn't. Like there's a guy who's, I'm kind of working with him on a graffiti project, and he says, listen, I did this project in this, I guess, impoverished neighborhood. They're like this ugly building. And listen, with my own money, he says, right? He puts up this mural on the wall, and he shows me the picture, and it's a lot of cartoon characters, Bugs and Bunny, all those Mickey Mouse, all those people out there, and there is this hunter character, this. You know what I'm talking about?
From like the Looney Tunes?
The Looney Tunes hunter.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So he's standing there with a rifle, right? And not too far from him, there is a black duck.
Oh,
Daffy.
God.
You talking about from like the Looney Tunes? Yeah,
The Looney Tunes.
yeah.
And the black duck is basically, so it's like this white hunter is shooting the black duck.
And like people were.
And in this neighborhood, apparently there are like a lot of shootings happening.
Yeah.
But he's doing this wall because he's trying to make the neighborhood look good. Otherwise, it's like super ugly. So, and he gets legit canceled because they'll take down the mural because people complain. But I think like in reality, with anything, you can potentially find something wrong. Like you can really find so I think when we say cancel culture is dead, I think eventually what we mean is that you have these activists out there who are just prowling to find just something wrong with what you said. Oh, you put a white shirt in a black event. He means something by that. No, I don't. That was the only shirt I had,
Yeah.
So and I think that level of activism is basically being ignored right now. So all these voices that used to kind of like force their sort of things, perhaps we just begin to ignore that. And as a result, we can kind of claim that the cancel culture is effectively non-existent.
I think if you just like recognize that everyone's a human, people are going to mess up.
Right.
And you have some sort of empathy towards when people mess up and realize and track back to all the times you messed up and realize you're not perfect. Kind of hard to like impose your will on someone and like come from this higher angle and say you're better and cancel someone. So I think it's good for sure.
But in marketing, right, you always make these decisions. So there is always messaging, right? And I can just, even outside of anything sort of cancel culture related, anything provocative, right? I could tell you that when I'm looking at sort of marketing sort of output, there's always something that I could potentially see that could be improved, right? Or there is something that maybe could be done a lot better, but it doesn't mean that I always get involved, right? So there's this sort of perfectionism, right, of messaging. And there's this degree at which at some point it becomes absolutely ridiculous. It is sort of like it defeats the purpose of what sort of controls are for. So I'm sure there's content that could be deemed offensive.
Yeah.
But to whom though? To 10% of the society?
Yeah, like honestly.
Who ultimately decides like this is offending everybody, this is not offending everybody, or is this offensive? Like who is the deciding factor here?
Like from the business perspective, like there's someone, Tommy Clark, I'm friends with, he talks about this. Like as long as you're not upsetting the people who buy from you, like it actually could be to your benefit if you upset the people outside of your buyers, right? Like common enemies and like rallying your buyers and potential buyers against people who would never buy you from you in the first place could actually be a pretty smart strategy. If marketers are just like, all right, we're trying not to piss off people that could buy from us. Who cares if Linda, who would never buy from you in the first place, is mad at you for what you did? Yeah. Like it doesn't impact you at all. It actually will probably help you because she's amplifying your message.
Yeah, get more views.
Like,
feeding it.
Yeah, but I think it goes like this. So I think the marketers attempting to be provocative or like attempting to be maybe obnoxious to some extent, to me, that's very risky. Because, and I would even argue that should be avoided.
For sure.
Because listen, it's your perspective on things. You could be wrong. You may be thinking you're offending 5 people, but in reality, you're offending 5 million, you know? So it's really like heavy mistake potentially. But I think as with any good ideas, right, some things have been kind of taken too far because in the case of memes, in which kind of like that's your neck of the woods, right? So I think even that is now, or at least up until a certain point, was deemed as very risky. Just straight up humor. So we're not talking about like alienating, you know, people who don't use your product or any heavy-handed kind of aggressive stuff. We're talking about humor, and people want to stay away with it just because they're so afraid that would be somehow deemed, you know, offensive. And kind of like my feeling is that with the way kind of we are today as a society where so much is being said and not a lot of people are being held accountable for what's being said, just the virality aspect of it. It's now sort of sipped through politics. Seemingly, nobody's getting canceled, it seems like, anymore, unless you put a swastika on your website or something, Like, you have to be something like super egregious, right? But I think we've no longer kind of like, hopefully we're getting into a situation where we can have humor, right, as part of our marketing and not necessarily kind of take it too seriously, not overanalyze it.
Yeah, like I think there's no point in taking risk for risk's sake. Like, that's just stupid, and like that shows desperation. So like if there's marketers out there just looking to take risks, that's just like, what are you going to get out of that? But, calculated risk here and there, and like maybe taking a big swing. Like if you avoid politics, religion, and punching down on people who can't defend themselves in the moment, it's kind of hard to find a way for a large group of people to be upset at you for what you just did.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean to just don't take risks for risk's sake.
But there are comedians, right? So you guys have your favorite comedians? You have a favorite comedian?
I do. I like Shane Gillis.
I'm like kind of like OG Kevin Hart from back in the day kind of a guy.
Oh, wow. Okay,
like 2015.
Yeah, when he used to be a meme,
Yeah.
I'm Dave Chappelle and
I like
Bill
Dave
Chappelle.
Chappelle.
I like these guys, right? And they are like super edgy, right? And I know people who somehow either take them too seriously, but they are really offended by what they say. And my argument there is that humor is meant to kind of offend slightly, and that's okay because it's a joke. Like, how many jokes are about people with certain physical conditions or with certain mental ability, there are like so many certain sexes, you know what I mean? Like there are so many jokes that poke fun at us, at this society. And Dave Chappelle is not getting canceled, although he might have been at some point.
He kind of benefits being a comedian. Like as a brand, like if you're a brand, like it's a little more risky, but like if you look at humor is truth, like that, like the funniest things are the truest of things. Most of the time comedians are just like blatantly just saying the truth. Yeah. And it's most things that people are afraid to acknowledge. And so that's why it's so funny, is because they haven't heard anyone say it before. But like, I would highly encourage brands to not try and become Shane Gillis or Dave Chappelle or Bill Burr, but instead like look at Ryan Reynolds and look at how he's using humor to have his audience's guard be down, so they're way more receptive for him to sell. Like if you lead with the humor, lead with the social selling, and then you can hit them with the call to action instead of just like shilling your product feature. But yeah, like if a brand tried to be the next Bill Burr and like take on his persona, you're going to be in a whirlwind of
Yeah, that is too far. I agree. Yeah. That is too far. But what do you do as a brand if you did, let's say, pursued some humorous campaign in the form of memes or something, right? And then there's some blowback. Let's say there is some negative comments. Let's say some activists are out there, kind of trying to bash you. Is this a real problem or is it not a real problem? Should you acknowledge it? Should you ignore it?
It's a real problem if, like, let's say you do a campaign that's maybe a little bit more risky, like Jaguar, they did a rebrand maybe 6 months ago. It was like potentially one of the worst rebrands ever. I don't know if you saw it.
I think Coke was one of them.
New Coke, like that whole thing was horrendous. But
what happened with Jaguar?
Jaguar, they just did a pivot. I think they're making all of their cars electric now, and they changed the entire logo and the image, and like the rebrand was with a pink car. Have you ever seen the iconic Jaguar on the front of the car?
Yeah, the emblem.
Ditching that in the logo as well. So it was like, people are like, what? For Jaguar, in that instance, it's not a funny campaign, but
a misfire.
It's like kind of crazy. But if they identify that the people that are giving them blowback couldn't ever afford a Jaguar in the first place, then it's fine. As long as the people that could buy it from you in the first place are like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So if you're a brand and you do something crazy, funny, and you're experiencing blowback, first identify if the people giving you the blowback are your ICP. If they are, I would just say, look, we messed up. Sorry. Like, we're not going to backtrack. We said it. We meant it in the moment, but we will not do that anymore. Thank you for telling us. Just like we take all your feedback in when we're putting together our products and services, we're doing the same with our messaging, and thank you. Like, that's all I'd say. I wouldn't backtrack because that's weak, and like your character's moving, and then your ability to build trust with your audience might dwindle.
Because nobody's sitting there actively trying. I mean, maybe they are trying to get people angry or trying to offend people, right? Like we're trying to make entertaining content that people are going to enjoy. They're going to relate to it. It's going to make their day a little bit lighter. And maybe, just maybe, when it comes time to buying a product or a service, they're thinking about us. And look, we're going to mess up. We're going to say something that maybe not everybody's going to think is funny. And I guess I really like that. As long as it's not our buyers or the room full of our buyers that are getting offended.
And
dude,
like,
who cares?
If it's a room full of people that aren't your buyers, like maybe find ways to pour gasoline on that fire to get them even more ticked off, right? It's the same reason why, like, sports, like, what sports, do you guys watch sports?
Oh,
What's your favorite sport?
hockey.
What's your hockey team?
Tough one.
The
I would say
Mavericks.
Rangers, obviously,
Rangers,
but not
okay.
really. No.
Okay, so like I'm a Caps fan, right? Like I think Alex Ovechkin's the best player of all time,
Sure.
potentially.
For sure.
And like maybe you're a Rangers fan, or like someone who doesn't like the Caps, or maybe did Gretzky play for the Oilers?
Everybody.
Yeah,
Kings,
but-
Rangers.
So maybe you're like, no, Gretzky's the best, and then suddenly we're on these two sides. It's like that's why those fan bases are so loyal, is because they have people they can point to that are others. Like you're not us, you're not me, you're not me. So maybe how can you do that with your brand? Like we're this, not that. So if you want to be part of this, like we're not that. Just so you know.
That makes me think that those old school Apple versus PC commercials. Like that's such a that whole series.
They are considered iconic today, but I think at the time they were considered to be a flop, if I remember
Really?
correctly. Yeah, it was
Dang.
considered to be like, it was sort of too aggressive. It was like sort of Steve Jobs, kind of like personal vendetta, against, I don't know,
So ahead of his
plagiarism
time.
of
So ahead of his
Microsoft's
time.
inventions or something. Like it was a tough one, yeah.
Like Nike does it too. Like their whole slogan, "Just Do It." Every campaign that they run with the bold text, athletes working hard, their other is laziness and not achieving your dreams. And that's who they point the finger to. Like, we're not that. And that really rallies people. And like, I'm going to wear Nike. I'm not going to wear Under Armour, even though I love Under Armour.
New Balance.
But back to sort of the risks for just a little bit. Let's say the company does take risks, and whether that's riskier sort of content in the first place, or jokes, or whatever represents the risks. Something that I've observed, and I think that is something that perhaps older school marketers kind of don't realize, is the memory is very short today. So I would argue that whatever happened yesterday, almost like it does not exist.
Yeah.
So even if there was a flop, even if there was a misfire, and you did get some blowback, by tomorrow, day after for sure,
Yeah.
it's not even going to be, even in existence. And the fact that it exists, don't even bother removing it off your thread, because sometimes that backfires. Like, what are you trying to hide?
Yep.
Like, it's out there, but I don't think like anybody kind of realizes how short-lived memory we've now have. Like, you look at some of the more sort of prominent personalities on the news, they have no qualms in changing or disregarding things they said yesterday.
Yeah.
Nobody does these days. They forget, or not acknowledge it, or did I say that? You know what I mean? Like, so what, did I said that? And we just move on. Today's today, and yesterday was yesterday. Like, it doesn't matter whether that's a good thing or not. Like, I probably lean towards that. That's not such a great thing to have short memories, but it is the reality. And I think for that reason, it only should like amplify ability to people to take risks, because it's almost like it doesn't matter in the end of the day what happened yesterday.
It is a good point though, too. Like, I think that it's called the Streisand effect, where it's like, if you try and like limit something, like prevent people from doing something, it's only going to amplify people wanting to do that. So like, if you mess up and like you're trying to delete everything, all the mess ups, or maybe delete the comments, like that's only going to add fuel to like people wanting to expose.
So should companies then continue to kind of think of social media as something that needs to go through significant approval workflows, or should they sort of relax their guard? Should they maybe not overthink content from the legal perspective, right? How much of that is still relevant? Maybe all of it, but if the memory is short, if we are now allowed, or I guess everybody's okay with, more controversial things to kind of, not controversial, but like more edgy things to kind of be around. Like, should companies still be as horrified or as petrified by some negative impact blowing back from social, or is social sort of the place where this blowback is sort of just the name of the game,
Yeah. I actually don't even know if I have like a really good answer to that. Like I would say if you hire really good people who have high IQ and EQ and are able to make quality decisions, and you do all that research up front of like making sure you're hiring the right people, like then you probably don't need to be as tight with the leash when it comes to improving content on social media. But like I would definitely say don't just hire a bunch of interns and have them run your social media, like especially if you're a big brand, and there's still a lot of companies that do that. But like social media is the way I see it is a 24/7 salesman for your business.
Sure.
The algorithm is always feeding your content to other people. So just the same way you treat and have like oversight on your salesman, like how can you have that similar oversight on your social media? Like I don't think legal's tapped into every single transcript that your sales team is selling to people.
Just to put things into perspective, can you give an example of both something risky that worked really well and something risky that perhaps gave you the most
like for
blowback?
me, myself, or just in general?
Well, maybe like without naming names or anything like that, but or giving company names, but like obviously as we talk about successes and failures here, risks and kind of rewards, maybe it would be kind of good to get an idea of what is a risky successful and what is risky unsuccessful, and like even the unsuccess, like how bad was it?
Yeah, like for me, a personal story, the first time I ever posted on LinkedIn, I had just seen the new Spider-Man movie. Tom Holland was in it. I walked out of the movie and I was like, wait, this is a great idea. So a lot of younger kids, when they're getting an internship, they post on LinkedIn, like, I'm proud to announce I got this new internship at Deloitte. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Sarah, for helping me get this job. And they put a picture of the logo. I, just having seen Spider-Man, was like, oh my God, genius idea. I need a marketing internship. So I'm going to announce that I got an internship at Stark Industries, which is like the company in the movie. Do you watch Marvel movies? Or
A little bit, yeah.
So, and I'm like, thank you, Tony Stark, for like the job opportunity, et cetera. And then at the end, I'm like, but seriously, I'm looking for a real marketing internship. If anyone you know is hiring, please let me know. Went crazy viral, and I got like 75 different opportunities. Like,
You took them all, I hope.
and yeah, I wish. It was like Meta, Disney, and then the one I ended up taking was Overtime Sports. I took it because I love sports, and it's a media company in New York. But I took a risk. Like I mocked pretty much the typical content format on LinkedIn, but like kind of poked fun at myself a little bit too, just because like I didn't have an internship. So that paid off for sure, and that gave me the light bulb. The light bulb went off. Like, oh, I can actually use LinkedIn to like leverage it for my career. We were working with ClickUp, or maybe we can bleep that. I don't know, but and it was me and then this guy Gavin and Chris, and we were making memes for like theme pages, and we made one meme. It was with Kevin Hart in it, and it went super viral, like millions of views in a day. Like I want to say like 6 million views in a day. And I was in Boston, and the ClickUp team called me, and they're like, we're getting in some legal battles with like that celebrities' likenesses and everything, so please take that down. So we had to take that down. So that's a time where that kind of backfired a little bit.
So celebrity likeness, but that's like more of a legitimately legal issue, right? Is that true though, that memes cannot contain celebrity likeness?
Yeah, the legal, like if you're using their name, image, and likeness, like
I see.
like they could come after you, but a workaround there is if you see other accounts using it and like big brands using it and you join in on that, the likelihood they single you out is way smaller.
Because I feel like I see a lot of Office.
Oh yeah, that's everywhere.
You know what I mean? That's everywhere.
Yeah.
And
I think that's also how it got back on the map, though. So I think in a lot of ways, maybe why certain celebrities or TV shows are so okay with it is that they see this new breath getting put into this show or this concept, because it's now all of a sudden pop culture to do memes around their stuff, right? I mean, The Office didn't really get much viewership when it was actually running until recently,
my
right?
favorite show. I love that show.
Yeah, same thing.
No,
yeah.
you like it?
Well, I like it. My kids like it.
I love that show.
Between that and Friends, I think that's where we spent majority of our family time.
It's such a good show.
Awesome.
Awesome. So so I think just to sum up, I think with respect to cancel culture, with respect to the risks, I think ultimately the risks we take in this day and age are not the same as risks we used to take, let's say 5 years ago. I think that's an evolving kind of landscape. It is our opinion, or at least my opinion, that the risks have become much more manageable. that somehow the level of sort of activism that could have forced, I don't know, advertisers to kind of leave certain, I don't know, companies or something like that. I feel like even if it happens, it's not going to come from a company using a joke, or it's not going to come from something more sort of innocuous. I think staying away from that content because of this fear of cancel, I think that's dissipating to some extent.
Yeah, definitely.
I think clearly don't make kind of ugly stuff happen because that stuff is just ugly. But I think brands aren't risking much by being edgier and more humorous. And I think social media is a fertile ground for that kind of content. And by not staying away from it, brands effectively win in many ways besides what they do today.
I love that. This is awesome. Aiden, thank you so much. I have an idea that you can walk away from, take it or leave it. But we were talking about memes and demographics. Maybe we attract the older demographics by putting memes in newspapers. I don't know. We'll think about it. We'll talk about it behind the scenes.
Cartoons, you know.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you guys next one.